All right. Now, let me get back real quick to, in the time remaining, I thought about a lot of this. I think probably what I'll do, okay, I think what I'll do is this. I'll give you a quick sample of a closing argument. This is a vignette. And this is just to show you how to structure. This is an emotional part which comes up at the end of the, at the closing part of your closing argument when they can't respond to it. So, okay, this is a case that happened actually in Austin. So I'm just going to go through it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, to understand why we're here today, let me take you back to where this all began. It was a Saturday afternoon. It was in August 2006. And Ray and his wife Nancy were doing on that afternoon what a lot of us were doing. They were sitting in front of the television waiting for the A&M Texas game to begin. Okay? And Nancy came in from the kitchen and she said, Ray, I don't have any hot water in the sink in the kitchen. And so Ray did what all of us would do. He said, okay, I'll take care of it during halftime, darling. So they go back, they watch, and she says, no, you go do this now. So Ray goes down and he reads the instruction on the water heater in the cellar. And the water heater says very clearly, it says, if you smell gas, it says if you have the odor of gas, turn this valve and then wait for 30 minutes until the odor is gone. So Ray goes back, he watches the game, and then he comes back during halftime, hour and a half later. And then we see Dave as he goes to the utility room. And he kneels down to read the instructions on the water heater. Dave smells the faint odor of gas and finds the pilot light has gone out. The instruction says when the pilot light goes out, wait a few minutes, light it again. Dave follows the instructions carefully, thinking, as we all would, that the gas shutoff valve on the hot water heater will work the way the manufacturer says it will. We see Dave go back to the utility room where he no longer smells the odor of gas. He strikes a long wooden match on the concrete floor, and we see him as he reaches out to put the flame by the pilot light. We see an instant look of panic on Dave's face as he hears the whooshing sound. He sees the flicker and the flash, and then he feels the horrible searing heat. Dave doesn't realize at that point that the pungent odor filling his nostrils or the burning of his own flesh. We see Ann rush through the garage to the utility room as she hears Dave's screams. Dave is entirely engulfed in flames, and all she sees is an orange ball of fire as she hears the tormented cries of her husband emerging from that fiery ball. Like a lobster thrown into a boiling pot, this gentleman is cooked from his ankles to the top of his head. Not an inch of his skin is spared from the awful blaze. Not his thighs, not his stomach, not his chest, not his eyes, not his ears, which are burned off. We see more than 4 days, 32 long days and nights drag by in the hospital. In the burn unit, night and days measured minute by minute by minute of misery, pain, anguish, despair, hopelessness, until Dave finally reaches the only peace available to him, the peace of death. Sometimes in the quiet and lonely hours of the night, Anne still hears the voice of her husband's screams and awakens in the middle of the night to her own voice of her own screams and her visions of her husband in that fiery ball of flame, all because the gas valve on that water heater did not work the way the manufacturer said it would. Okay, you can do that in the closing argument, in the closing portion. Now, actually, I would do that that's what I call a vignette. I would do that in no more than 2 minutes. It would just click, 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 click. And I would have it memorized and I would go straight through it. Okay, let me give you the one last one. This is a pretty famous closing argument I did. It's published in the summations, Matthew Bender's summations volumes, where they take closing arguments and they have an expert analyze them and they break them down. And this is a really good sample because the guy that analyzed it, Larry Smith, did a brilliant job of it. He was a brilliant, brilliant guy. I can save you the trouble of looking for it in the books. If you want to see the whole argument, this is just the closing portion of the closing argument. And it's on my webpage, it's howardnations.com, and then you go to publications, and then under publications, you look down and click on Death of a Child. Oh, as a matter of fact, I think it's printed in the materials.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's printed in the materials.
Website.
But you go to the website instead of what's in the materials, because the important part of it, the website has the analysis that was done by Larry Smith. He talks about the use of metaphors, the use of analogies, the use of standard arguments. And so that is a brilliant piece of work that Larry did on it because he was absolutely one of the best. And so that analysis is what's valuable to you. So let me give you a quick little introduction to this. Okay. The problem is, how do you ask for money in a wrongful death case? Okay. Now we talk of money. We talk of money because there is no magic. Is anyone so callous as to believe that if you, as the jury, had the power to bring young David Taylor back through that courtroom door, that there would still be talk of money? No, you would see nothing but exultant joy as this young couple saw their child rush into their arms, and they immediately emerged from the depths of despair into the heights of happiness, as those three people would leave this courtroom as the happiest family on the face of the earth. There would be no talk of money. But ladies and gentlemen, there is no magic. There's only despair. There is no magic. There's only reality. Magic exists only in the world of children. The magic of running faster than the other kids, the magic of David's life with his cousins and his Snowball, his Alaskan Husky, the magic of just being a 7-year-old kid. Every day is full of magic. But the magic in young David Taylor's life ended on November 4th, 2006, when the product designed and manufactured by this defendant exploded and took with it the life of this young man and the hopes and dreams and wishes of this young couple. Why? They knew it was defective. We've shown you that they made an outrageous, profit-motivated decision not to recall that product. Why? Because a recall would have cost them $4 million. So they left the product on the market, and the inevitable tragedy occurred. If it hadn't been David, it would have been some other youngster. So we talk of money now because they talked of money then. So when you're talking about the damages in this case, don't look at the loss. Don't look at the death. But examine closely instead the life that never will be. This young couple will never again share the daily joys, tears, hopes, and fears of young David. His father will never know if he would have followed in his footsteps. high school quarterback? Would he have gone to college? Would he have gotten an academic scholarship? Would he have gone to med school like his father? Would he have been a full-time military retired colonel like his grandfather? We'll never know, because David's life was a mere preview of coming attractions. But they also lost those special moments that occur as parents watch a child grow up. They'll never know the experience of graduation from grammar school, high school, going to college. They'll never know the thrill of watching young David graduate from college. They'll never know, they'll never know those special moments that parents cherish for a lifetime. When David walks back in one day from college and says, "Mom, Dad, this is the woman I'm going to marry." David Sr. will never get that call that, "Congratulations, Grandpa, it's a boy." Karen will never again hear the 4 most beautiful words in the world. "I love you, Mommy." Days of celebration, family celebration in America, are now days of mourning in the Taylor household. Birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, any gathering where this fine young man is not there. Instead, they have to look at his cousins who were his same age and just think about their own loss. So when you think about the damage, measure that life that never will be. So that's enough. That goes on forever. So anyway, that's where you put the emotion in. I hope I've said something that's going to help you in your career and help you help your clients. That's the most important thing. So thank you very much.